SQL for beginners. This is my another playlist for my YouTube channel, Funny Tech Practical. In this playlist, I will create the videos on two topics, SQL and then PLSQL. Come to this SQL. So they are the topics I am going to be cover. Introduction to Oracle. In this introduction to Oracle, I will start with the basic definitions of database and what are the database models and data views, what is RDBMS, what are the different types of RDBMS comes into the picture, out of n number of RDBMS, why Oracle becomes so popular, and once you can choose this Oracle, what are the different products under this Oracle. These points I covered in the first topic. And I come to the next one, that is the introduction to SQL. Here I am talking about the commands, SQL commands. What are the different categories of SQL commands, like data definition language, data manipulation language, data control language. Each and every category of commands I will explain with the proper examples. Once the tables, the data is available in the database, to perform the manipulations with the attributes, you can use the next concept. That is operators. As usually, these operators are common for all the languages as well as the database. Particularly in database, special operators are available, like is, null, between. They are the special operators. This is a simple topic. And the next most important topic is the constants. For accepting the data based on certain condition, for accepting a valid data. So how to implement those conditions, that I will discuss in the topic constants. And how to establish the relation between tables. RDBMS in the sense relational database. So definitely can establish a relation between the tables. So those things I covered in this topic, that is the constants. So once the data is maintained in the multiple tables, to retrieve the information from more than one table, you can use the next concept, that is called joins. There I will discuss to work with the joins, what is the condition, what are the different types of joins. While working with the joins, if you are not giving any conditions, what happen? These things I will discuss in the concept joins. And the next one is the functions. So reusable concept, reusable components are called functions. So here I will discuss about what are the different categories of functions, like predefined functions as well as user-defined functions. If you want to work with user-defined functions, you can use a PLSQL. And come to the next one. If you want to come to the predefined functions, again there are different functions, like string functions, number functions, date functions, conversion functions, and special functions, that I will discuss in the concept of functions with the beautiful examples. And the next one is the subqueries. This is the most important topic. So writing the query in one more query is called a subquery. There I will discuss about what are the different types of subqueries, like simple subqueries as well as the correlated subqueries. Again, simple subqueries, what are the different categories, those things I will explain in this topic, subqueries. And the next one is SQL Plus. The difference between SQL commands and SQL Plus is SQL commands are not stored in buffer, whereas SQL Plus, by using SQL Plus commands, you can set the displaying environment temporarily. That means if you want to change the column headings, if you want to change the column width, or if you want to display the titles. One Once you can exit from a SQL window, automatically those settings are erased. So that's why it's not stored in buffer. And the next one is object-oriented or RDBMS. You can implement the object-oriented concepts. There you can work with the different concepts, like how we can use object-oriented concepts, inheritance. Same things you can use in your database also. So you can create the tables as object tables, column objects as well as the table objects, and you can work with the collections. There are different concepts under this. Other than these concepts, I'll post the videos on simple topics like sequences, indexes. Like there are some simple topics that will be while creating the videos. Whenever I get the thought on those topics, I'll post. And come to the next concept, that is a PLSQL. Under PLSQL, why you go for PLSQL? The things which are not possible with the SQL. To solve those problems, you can use the PLSQL. Under PLSQL, I will cover these concepts. Introduction to PLSQL. In this, I will explain about what is the importance of PLSQL. So, what is a block? How many parts are there in the PLSQL block? What are the different data types are supported by PLSQL? Those things I will discuss in this concept. What are the programming control flow statements you can use? And the next one is the cursors. If you want to perform any manipulations on the database tables at a time, on all the records at a time, you can use the concept of cursors. And stored procedures, the next concept, stored procedures. The programs which are stored in database are called stored procedures. There you can work with the procedures, functions, and triggers. I will explain each and everything with detailed examples. And the next one is exception handling. Generally, errors are two types: syntax errors, also called compilation errors. Once you can rectify those errors, whenever you try to run the program based on your input values, you are getting the errors. Those are called the runtime errors. To handle the runtime errors, you can use exception handling. And the next one is the packages. To implement the polymorphism, in the database concepts, you can use the packages. I will explain what is this polymorphism, what is the advantage of the polymorphism in the coming videos.